The Xenomorph, the creature that defined sci-fi horror for 4 decades, remains cinema's most perfect predator design. Swiss surrealist artist H.R. Giger designed the Xenomorph for Alien in 1979, adapting it from his 1976 Necronom 4 lithograph. Carlo Rambaldi created the practical effects head using internal cable and hydraulic systems that brought the nightmare to life. What makes this alien the creepiest is Giger's deliberate removal of eyes, making the creature's gaze unknowable and amplifying terror through pure inscrutability. The weaponized inner jaw design pierces through victims' skulls like a phallic extension, while acid blood serves dual purposes as biological defense and feeding mechanism. The facehugger larval stage was constructed using sheep intestines as legs and oysters and clams for internal texture, creating visceral authenticity. Giger's biomechanical aesthetic combines organic flesh with mechanical, armored exoskeleton, suggesting evolution that blurs categories humans understand. The film's claustrophobic production design amplifies the creature's presence in confined spaces where escape becomes impossible. Sexual violation symbolism was intentionally woven into the alien life cycle and reproductive system, operating on both visceral and subconscious psychological levels. This design transcends being a mere creature effect, representing the perfect synthesis of surrealist art and applied horror cinema that influenced creature design across the entire genre for decades. The Thing from 1982 presents the ultimate invasion nightmare, where a shapeshifter perfectly replicates humans while erasing any visual way to identify infiltrators. Director John Carpenter supervised practical effects created by Rob Bottin, who designed the creature with no fixed appearance, constantly morphing to become the creepiest through sheer unpredictability. The famous Norris chestburst scene features a head that sprouts spider-like appendages, an effect that required months of design work for under 3 minutes of screen time. Cable-operated internal mechanisms controlled jaw, lips, and inner mouth articulation with disturbing precision. The production team used reverse footage technique for tentacle effects, pulling rubber hoses through creature models, then reversing the film to create unnatural movement. A double amputee wore prosthetic arms and the Dr. Copper mask for the arm removal sequence, adding authentic body horror. What elevates this alien to creepiest status is its core concept, where perfect human imitation makes paranoia the real enemy. Tentacles and appendages made from bubblegum and melted plastic create grotesque textures that feel genuinely alien. The practical effects team used minimal CGI, relying entirely on puppetry and mechanical rigs that forced actors to react to real animatronic puppets, creating genuine horror responses. The creature design matters less than what viewers don't see, as invisible horror through uncertainty of infection proves more terrifying than visual grotesqueness alone. Independence Day. Independence Day from 1996 featured a creature design that hid the actual alien inside an 8-foot biomechanical exoskeleton, making it creepier through deception. Patrick Tatopoulos designed a 2-part concept where diminutive actual aliens house themselves within biomechanical suits standing 8 feet tall and equipped with 25 tentacles. The suits were deliberately designed to appear non-humanoid, so they couldn't possibly be mistaken for humans in costumes, enhancing the alien nature. The small alien design, based on classic gray alien UFO lore, contrasts horrifically with its massive weaponized suit. What makes this creepiest is how the creature's head design mirrors the attacker craft's shape, suggesting organic design flows between vehicle and organism in ways that defy human understanding of tools versus bodies. Psychic telepathy attack sequences, visualized as mind invasion special effects, show the alien penetrating human consciousness directly. Tatopoulos pursued a design philosophy of making them both familiar and completely original, walking an uncanny valley line. The tentacles provide the creature's primary manipulation and sensory organs, writhing with disturbing independence. This dual design concept reveals how advanced aliens weaponize environment, where the exoskeleton functions as extension of biology rather than external equipment, suggesting intelligence that views tool use and bodily form as unified systems in deeply unsettling ways. Signs. M. Night Shyamalan's Signs from 2002 sparked decades of debate by making aliens vulnerable to water, but what makes them creepiest is their deliberate psychological warfare. The alien vulnerability to water was deliberately hinted throughout the film via character obsessions, particularly Bo's water aversion that foreshadows the weakness reveal. One theory suggests aliens aren't actually weak to water, but specifically weak to contaminated Earth groundwater, adding layers of horror. Alternative interpretations compare the water allergy to aquagenic urticaria in humans, a condition documented in fewer than 100 cases worldwide, making the aliens' biology genuinely alien. Religious symbolism interpretation suggests creatures vulnerable to holy water rather than ordinary water, transforming them from invaders into demons. The film emphasizes themes of faith and divine intervention alongside practical threat, making the aliens creepier through spiritual implications. What truly elevates the creepiness is Shyamalan's Hitchcockian approach, where alien design appears in limited glimpses through shadows, hands, and rare full reveals that let imagination fill terrifying gaps. The creatures become creepiest through implication rather than explicit display, with viewers creating their own nightmares. Critical reception divided between those who embrace thematic cleverness and those who reject logical consistency. But the water weakness serves as spiritual metaphor in a film obsessed with faith and intervention rather than mechanical alien invasion logic. Arrival, Heptapods. Arrival from 2016 created aliens whose very biology shapes their communication, making them creepiest through fundamental cognitive difference. The heptapod design features 7 long limbs supporting diamond-shaped upper bodies, resembling squid with humanoid heads. But their true alienness comes from non-linear time perception. They possess 2 distinct languages, Heptapod A as spoken organic whale-like sounds, and Heptapod B as circular logogram writing that symbolizes how aliens experience past and future simultaneously. Sound design for Heptapod A combined whale songs, cat purrs, and modified human voice recordings to create truly otherworldly communication. The circular logogram system represents full concepts, emotions, and sentences in single symbols that humans must learn to comprehend reality differently. Linguistic design, created by Patrice Vermette and Martine Bertrand, drew inspiration from the Lord of the Rings One Ring etchings for the circular alien script. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis frames the connection, where their writing system reflects their consciousness structure, making them creepiest by revealing intelligence that processes reality in ways humans literally cannot without learning their language. The designer deliberately balanced familiar humanoid heads with alien multiple limbs and squid-like bodies to create unsettling recognition. Visual design philosophy conveys intelligence through form, rather than threatening appearance, proving the most unsettling aliens aren't necessarily grotesque, but fundamentally different in how they experience existence itself. A Quiet Place. The creatures in A Quiet Place from 2018 underwent complete emergency redesign just 2 months before release because the original design wasn't scary enough to be creepiest. Director John Krasinski determined the original creature design insufficient for terror, with the initial concept featuring creatures with multiple flaps for hearing across entire bodies. VFX supervisor Scott Farrar at Industrial Light and Magic oversaw complete rig redesign and reanimation under brutal time pressure. Final design inspiration drew from black snakes, prehistoric fish fossils, and bat-wing structures to create something genuinely nightmarish. The design strategy made visible ear holes on sides of heads, so the hearing mechanism becomes immediately clear to audiences, amplifying the creepiness through understanding exactly how they hunt. Creatures' biology includes blindness compensated by advanced echolocation, nearly impenetrable armor skin, and speed up to 300 miles per hour that makes them unstoppable predators. Their weaponized vulnerability creates horror where they're completely invulnerable, except when armor plates open to reveal sensitive inner flesh. Deliberately non-humanoid proportions with 4 limbs and heads couldn't possibly be actors in suits, maintaining alien authenticity. Close-up shots completed in the final week of post-production included simulated goo and muscle animations that added visceral detail. Motion capture performers on set wore suits to guide creature interaction with human actors, but the final design reconciles scientific plausibility with visceral creepiness through biological logic that makes silence the only survival strategy. By the way, if you're enjoying this type of content, I create videos like this regularly. Subscribing would mean a lot. District 9. Neil Blomkamp's District 9 from 2009 featured creatures designed to be visually repulsive yet emotionally compelling, making them creepiest through disgust transformation. Director Neil Blomkamp and writer Terry Tatchell designed aliens specifically to evoke initial disgust with insect-like bipedal bodies featuring crustacean hybrid exoskeletons and crab-like shells. Named after the Parktown prawn, a pest cricket species considered vermin in South Africa, the design choice weaponizes real-world prejudice. Image Engine realized them entirely as CGI after originally planning actors in practical suits, creating nearly 500 individual prawn characters for crowded district scenes. What makes them creepiest is intentionally maintained humanoid face shapes and expressive eyes that create emotional relatability, despite repulsive appearance. The $30 million production achieved visual effects considered superior quality for budget through this anthropomorphic design. They become creepier as the film progresses, because because they're anthropomorphic enough for audience empathy, yet alien enough for initial xenophobic responses that mirror real prejudice. The design serves apartheid allegory, where appearance creates prejudice, despite obvious emotional intelligence and sophisticated communication. This represents the uncanny valley effect used as political commentary, with repulsive appearance masking sophisticated emotion and intelligence. The prawns achieve creepiest status not through threat, but through forcing audiences to confront their own bias, making viewers complicit in the horror of judging beings by appearance while they demonstrate humanity the human characters lack. Nope's predator. Jordan Peele's Nope from 2022 features an alien that hides in plain sight by appearing as UFO before revealing true predatory form, achieving creepiest status through subverted expectations. Director Jordan Peele designed Creature Evolution, where classic UFO form disguises living organism hunting in Earth's atmosphere. VFX supervisor Guillaume Rocheron led comprehensive design development over 1 year R&D period to perfect the transformation. The UFO form features minimalist, clean design that deliberately inverts audience expectation of mechanical craft. The final true form drew inspiration from jellyfish, octopi, and squid, as sea creatures adapted for sky hunting with biological logic. Electric eel capabilities inform the electric propulsion system, in design collaboration with Caltech professor John O. Dabiri. The biblical angel form features sail-like membrane structure, enabling wind control and flotation without visible wings, that creates otherworldly grace. Digestive tract sequences show the creature swallowing prey whole, and consuming internally like a living ship. Digital sky reconstruction required nearly complete CGI recreation of atmosphere to sell the creature as natural predator. Production design philosophy presents the creature as evolutionarily perfect predator, unleashed into new ecosystem where humans become prey. What makes Jean Jacket creepiest is how the final design balances grace and menace, as beautiful creature actively hunting humans. This predator functions as ecology invader rather than conqueror, suggesting alien life as naturally evolved organism disrupting Earth's ecosystem through superior adaptation to aerial hunting that humans cannot counter. Pitch Black. Pitch Black from 2000 introduced bioraptors as eyeless predators evolved in total darkness, becoming creepiest through perfect adaptation to light-absent environment. Patrick Totopoulos designed them, while John Cox's Creature Workshop built practical versions that combined with double negative visual effects. 4 initial color concepts were produced before final design combined pale coloring with black highlights to reflect light in dark scenes and highlight form. Design features include streamlined bodies, anchor-shaped heads, forked tails, and limited wings that create insectoid horror. Practical animatronic features included blister effects triggered when light exposure damages skin, making their weakness visually horrifying. CG animation-based movement on rattlesnake tail locomotion for fluid, predatory motion that feels genuinely alien. Hatchling swarm behavior was animated using Maya particle system with bat-like flocking patterns that create overwhelming numbers. Creatures sense environment through head-side projections using echolocation imaging that makes them perfect blind hunters. Their weakness to light exposure causes rapid deterioration that limits activity to planetary eclipse periods lasting decades. What makes bioraptors creepiest is how budget-conscious creature design prioritized practical effects and lighting atmosphere over spectacle while maintaining effectiveness. The creature's vulnerability to light drives plot mechanics where environment becomes primary antagonist alongside the aliens. Darkness hides effects limitations while becoming aesthetic strength that forces audiences to imagine what lurks beyond sight. The ripple vision effect explains their perception without dialogue, showing how they experience reality through sound rather than vision in ways that make human visual dependence a fatal weakness. Dark City. Dark City from 1998 features octopoid aliens conducting psychological experiments by inhabiting human corpses to study individuality and consciousness, achieving creepiest status through existential violation. The strangers possess potent psychic abilities, but can only occupy dead human bodies that prevent them from experiencing human emotion directly. Pale skin and sunken eyes result from corpse occupation rather than natural appearance, making their human disguises deeply wrong. Their tuning power enables psychokinetic reality manipulation for city reconstruction, with telepathic mind waves emitted from foreheads that concentrate reality warping energy. Globular machines amplify individual tuning abilities to enable city-scale manipulation that rebuilds architecture overnight. Creature weaknesses include photophobia as light aversion and hydrophobia as water aversion that limit their operational parameters. Their scientific motivation involves studying human free will and individuality paradox that their hive consciousness cannot comprehend. Memory implantation enables continuous human population manipulation, where humans wake with different identities daily. What makes the strangers creepiest is how they represent scientific curiosity divorced from ethics, studying humanity not to conquer, but to understand consciousness itself. Their alienness lies in intellectual preoccupation, rather than grotesque appearance, with obsession with individuality, revealing more about their world than ours. The tuning effect visualizations serve narrative function by showing power through reality distortion that makes physical laws suggestions. Memory manipulation forces audiences to question human identity, when memories can be rewritten overnight, making the strangers creepiest through philosophical horror rather than physical threat. War Worlds. Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds from 2005 reinvented H.G. Wells's Martian invaders with biomechanical tripod walkers, combining insectoid movement with technological weaponry to become creepiest through unstoppable advancement. Designer collaboration between Spielberg and ILM visual effects team developed the three-leg design principle that dictates entire movement and form aesthetic. The design philosophy incorporates threes throughout, with 3 eyes, 3 limbs, and 3 fingers, creating unified alien aesthetic. Creature movement combines tree frog walking gait with stealthy cat locomotion for methodical rather than frantic advance. The organic interior design features no visible controls, where walls absorb human bodies directly, suggesting consciousness fundamentally different from humans. Heat ray weaponry fires from main appendages, while secondary rays teleport humans for harvesting rather than killing. Size and menace derive directly from H.G. Wells' original novel, while updating effects for modern audiences. Walking mechanics emphasize slow, inevitable advance that creates psychological horror through certainty rather than surprise. What makes tripods creepiest is how design suggests beings so advanced they abandon humanoid form entirely for pure function. The tripods function as extensions of alien cognition rather than mechanical vehicles, blurring line between organism and technology. The 3 motif creates unified design language, while movement analysis reveals creature mentality through physical form. Organic interiors suggest consciousness, where no separation exists between vehicle and body, making the tripods living architecture. Their size creates perspective of human insignificance, where humanity faces technology so far beyond comprehension, it functions as pure living organism, evolved to harvest rather than conquer. Slither. James Gunn's directorial debut, Slither, from 2006, features parasitic worm aliens that absorb humans into hive consciousness while retaining host personality, becoming creepiest through body horror. Director James Gunn created body horror comedy concept where alien parasite colonizes host into tentacled monstrosity via meteorite delivery. Grant's transformation begins with initial infection that slowly morphs him into tentacled slug monster while maintaining emotional attachments. Parasitic reproduction uses infected humans as breeding chambers that eventually burst from internal pressure. Hive mind formation connects infected townspeople to Grant's consciousness, erasing individuality while preserving memories. The consciousness retention paradox makes the creature creepiest because Grant maintains emotional attachments and loves his wife, while simultaneously pursuing alien imperative to consume and reproduce. Brenda's explosion sequence shows body unable to sustain larval population, releasing hundreds of parasites simultaneously in grotesque birth. Nearly 500 individual worms were crafted as practical effects. The bathtub invasion scene combined hybrid practical CGI approach, mixing tactile and digital effects for maximum impact. The $15 million production achieved cult classic status despite commercial failure through commitment to practical effects. What makes these parasites creepiest is how they weaponize body horror through literal invasion and inhabitation, while retaining human consciousness trapped inside transforming flesh. The retained consciousness creates psychological horror, amplified by biological violation, where victims remain aware during transformation. Gunn maximizes visceral disgust, while maintaining dark comedy tone that makes horror more disturbing through contrast. If you found this valuable, think about subscribing so you never miss new content. Thanks for watching.